The mother heard her daughter laughing while asleep, and when she checked the camera, she screamed.
Hello everyone. Enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch.
The clock on the wall struck exactly 3 a.m. Paula lay motionless on the bed, eyes tightly shut, her eyelashes trembling from exhaustion. Her dark brown hair was a tangled mess, damp with sweat after a long, hectic day. Just as her eyelids began to give in to sleep, a sudden sound jolted her awake. A soft, gentle laugh barely audible, yet clear enough to startle her. Ella? Paula mumbled, her voice drowsy as she stared into the dim shadows. She sat up, rubbed her eyes several times, and tried to listen again. The air became eerily still, so much so that Paula wondered if it had all been her imagination. But just as she was about to lie back down, the sound echoed once more. This time it was louder, reverberating down the hallway, colder, eerier than before. She's not asleep yet. Paula frowned, worried. She stepped out of bed, her bare feet chilled by the glossy tiled floor. The hallway was pitch black. Paula fumbled for the light switch, but the bulb refused to turn on. She sighed in frustration and quietly walked toward her daughter's room. Ella's door was slightly ajar, the faint nightlight inside casting a soft glow on her delicate, innocent face as she slept peacefully. Ella? Paula called again softly, but the girl didn't stir. Her breathing was calm and steady, as if she had never woken up. Suddenly, from the dark corner of the room, the laughter rang out again, louder and unmistakable. Paula's heart pounded violently in her chest. "Who's there?" she asked shakily, eyes scanning the room. No one responded. Only the wind whispered through the cracked window, taunting her with a mocking hush. Paula stepped closer to Ella's bed, gently laying a hand on her forehead. The child was still deeply asleep, breathing evenly, completely unaware of the strange sounds that had occurred. "Maybe I'm just exhausted," Paula muttered to herself, trying to stay calm. "It's just my imagination. I need to rest." She quietly returned to her room, carefully closing Ella's door behind her. But just as she lay back down, that same laughter echoed again, sending chills down her spine. It wasn't Ella. That sound didn't come from a child. Paula tried to dismiss the terrifying thought. She tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. Only when the first light of dawn peeked through the curtains did she manage to doze off for a few short minutes. Morning came quickly. Paula stood in the kitchen, hands trembling as she made coffee. Ella walked in, her bright eyes full of excitement. "Mommy, are we still going to the park with Uncle Marcus today?" Ella asked, her eyes sparkling with joy. Paula smiled weakly, trying to conceal the unease that had taken root inside her. "Today, sweetheart. I have the day off, but I think Uncle Marcus might be busy. How about we go another time?" Ella pouted, her bottom lip sticking out sadly. "But Uncle Marcus promised. He said I'm his little angel." "Little angel?" Paula felt a flicker of unease at the term, but quickly brushed it off. Marcus was her sister's husband, always helpful whenever she had to work late. The phone rang suddenly, making Paula jump. It was her sister Caroline. "Paula, are you okay?" Caroline asked, her voice filled with concern. "You sound a bit off today." "I'm fine, sis. Just didn't sleep well last night." Caroline paused, then spoke more gently. "Paula, Marcus was just asking if Ella's free this afternoon. He wants to take her out. You know how much he adores her. He said." Paula cut her off. "No, sis. I want to keep her with me today. I just miss her." Caroline hesitated, surprised. "Oh, okay, I'll let Marcus know then." After the call ended, Paula sighed, watching as Ella toyed listlessly with her breakfast. "Why aren't you eating, Ella?" Paula asked gently. Ella lowered her head and whispered. "Mommy, I had a dream last night, someone was standing next to my bed." Paula's heart skipped a beat. You saw who? Ella furrowed her brow, uncertain. I don't remember, but they told me not to say anything. I was really scared, Mommy. Paula hugged her tightly, her voice trembling. I'm here, sweetheart. You're safe now. It was probably just a bad dream. But Paula's mind was in turmoil. The laughter at 3 a.m., Ella's disturbing words, everything was forming a terrifying picture she couldn't ignore. Right then, the doorbell rang urgently, nearly making Paula drop her coffee cup. She peeked through the peephole and gasped when she saw Marcus standing there, smiling directly at her. Paula, it's me. I brought a present for Ella. Paula's heart raced uncontrollably. A surge of panic swelled in her chest. She stood frozen, unable to move. Marcus knocked again, louder this time, his voice cheerful but sending chills down Paula's spine. Come on, Paula, let me in. Ella's waiting for her favorite uncle, right, little angel? Paula's hand trembled as she gripped the cold doorknob. Her pulse pounded in her ears, nearly making her faint. Outside, Marcus's voice turned more pressing, though still gentle on the surface. Paula. Why are you so quiet? Ella's expecting me, remember? Paula turned to look at Ella. The girl glanced up, concern written across her face. Mommy. I don't want to see Uncle Marcus right now. Paula quickly knelt down, placing both hands on Ella's shoulders, her voice urgent but soft. It's okay, sweetheart. Go to Mommy's room for a bit, okay? I'll talk to him. Ella nodded and quietly walked to Paula's bedroom, closing the door behind her. Paula took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She opened the door, and Marcus immediately beamed, extending a hand as if nothing had happened. Finally. Took you long enough. Aren't you going to let me in? Paula stood firmly in the doorway, her eyes cold as she stared at Marcus. You caught me off guard showing up like this. Ella's not feeling well today. You should go. Maybe another time. Marcus raised an eyebrow, his smile twitching oddly. Really? Caroline said Ella was excited to see me. Paula's voice grew more assertive. I said she's not well. Please leave, Marcus. He chuckled quietly, but his eyes flashed with something sharp and unnerving. You seem tense, Paula. Haven't been sleeping well, have you? Paula's breath caught in her throat. How do you know that? Marcus shrugged, feigning concern. Just worried about you. Being a single mom is tough. You should relax more. I can watch Ella tonight if you want, give you some rest. No. Paula cut in sharply. I can handle it myself. Marcus stepped back, his expression hardening. Suit yourself. Just take care of yourself, okay? Oh, and give this to Ella for me. He handed her a small pale pink gift box, then turned and walked away. Paula quickly shut the door and locked it, leaning against it, gasping for breath. She walked into the room and placed the gift box on the table, trying to convince herself it was all a misunderstanding. Ella peeked out from Paula's room and asked quietly. Is Uncle Marcus gone, Mommy? Paula gently stroked her daughter's hair and nodded. Yes, sweetheart. He's gone. Ella looked at the gift box, uneasily. Mommy. I don't want Uncle Marcus to come over anymore. He always says weird things. Paula froze. She knelt down to Ella's level. What weird things, sweetheart? Tell Mommy. Ella hesitated, then replied with a trembling voice. He says I'm his little angel. He also says, you'll never understand the love he has for me. Paula turned pale, her hands icy cold. He said that to you? When? A long time ago. Every time you weren't home and he came to babysit me. Paula swallowed hard, her throat dry and tight. She gripped Ella's small hand. You don't have to be afraid. I'll always protect you. That night, Paula didn't sleep. Her mind was a whirlwind of fear and suspicion. Deep down, her instincts screamed that Marcus wasn't as harmless as she once believed. The next morning, Paula asked Michael, a coworker at the convenience store, to come help install a security camera system. Michael, noticing how anxious Paula looked, asked gently. "Paula, is something going on?" Michael asked as he finished adjusting the camera. "Setting up a security system like this, it must be something serious, right?" Paula let out a quiet sigh, her voice filled with unease. I don't feel safe. Something's not right, but I'm not completely sure what it is yet." Michael looked at her with genuine concern. "Don't hesitate to talk to me, okay? I'm here for you. You know that. Ella's a sweet kid, I see her like a niece." Paula nodded appreciatively. "Thank you, Michael. If something happens, I'll definitely ask for your help." Michael finished the setup and said goodbye. That night, Paula sat tensely in front of her computer, watching the live feed from the cameras. Ella was sound asleep. The house was so still, it sent chills down her spine. Then, at exactly 3 a.m., the eerie laugh echoed once again. Paula jolted, fully alert, heart racing as her eyes locked on the screen. In the dim light of Ella's room, a tall figure appeared next to the bed. He didn't touch her, but his face leaned in close, his shoulders quivering like he was laughing. Paula's hands trembled as she zoomed in. The shape, the hairstyle, even the familiar brown coat, everything about him was terrifyingly recognizable. Her blood froze when she realized it was Marcus. Tears welled in her eyes, and her lips trembled as she whispered to herself. "No. It can't be. Marcus, how could this be happening?" On the screen, the man in the room whispered softly to Ella, his voice gentle but haunting. "Has my little angel slept well? Your hair smells so sweet, you'll belong to me forever." Paula was paralyzed with horror, her hand clamped over her mouth to stop the sobs from escaping. She was overcome with rage and dread. The man she had trusted the most was now in her daughter's room, whispering the most sickening, twisted words imaginable. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called Caroline. But when her sister answered, Paula couldn't speak. "Paula? Why are you calling this late? Are you okay?" Caroline asked, alarmed. Paula forced herself to breathe, her voice breaking with pain. "Caroline. Marcus, he..." Caroline gasped, her voice rising with fear. "What about Marcus? What happened, Paula?" Holding back her tears, Paula steadied her voice just enough to say. "Marcus isn't who you think he is. I saw him, standing next to Ella's bed. At 3 a.m. I'm scared, Caroline. I'm really scared." There was a long silence on the other end before Caroline finally responded, her voice trembling with disbelief. "Paula, are you sure? Could you have made a mistake?" "I wish I had," Paula replied bitterly. "But no. I saw it clearly. Caroline. Marcus is a monster." Paula sat frozen in front of the computer, the pale blue light from the video flickering on her face. She had replayed the footage 3 times. There was no mistaking it. Marcus, the man she once thought of as a kind brother-in-law, had entered her daughter's room and stood by her bed, whispering horrifying words. "I love you. This scent will belong to me forever." His voice was sickeningly sweet, as if he were cradling the most dreadful secret in the world. Paula clenched her fists so tightly that her nails broke skin, drawing blood without her even noticing. Her mind was a storm of shock, fear, and fury. She opened a drawer and pulled out a USB drive, saving the video onto it. Her hands were shaking, but her movements were firm. Part of her wanted to storm to Caroline's house, slap her sister, and drag Marcus out into the street. But another part knew she had to stay calm. She needed proof. She needed to be sure. One sleepless night wouldn't kill her, but one impulsive move might destroy Ella's life. The next morning, after dropping Ella off at school, Paula stopped by the pharmacy. She saw Mary, a familiar pharmacist. "Hi Paula, you don't look too well today," Mary said gently. "Hi Mary. I need strong sleeping pills. I've been struggling with chronic insomnia lately," Paula replied, trying to keep her voice casual. Mary studied her for a moment. "Sleeping pills? Be careful with those. You shouldn't rely on them too much. Is everything okay?" Paula shook her head and forced a smile. "Nothing serious. Just work stress, I think." Mary nodded and handed her the medication. "Don't exceed the dosage. And if you're feeling mentally overwhelmed, consider seeing a specialist." Paula nodded politely and left. Inside, her plan was already set. She would make Marcus believe she was in a deep sleep so he would expose himself. That evening, after dinner, Paula tucked Ella into bed early. She whispered into her daughter's ear. "Tonight, even if Mommy doesn't come into your room, you must stay in bed, okay?" Ella frowned. "But why, Mommy?" Paula stroked her hair. "Because I need to do something important. And I can only focus if I know you're safe." Ella nodded, her eyes shimmering with a hint of fear. "Okay, but you be careful too. If I hear anything weird, I'll yell really loud." Paula smiled, though her heart ached. After Ella fell asleep, Paula lay on her bed and took one sleeping pill, then left the empty bottle by her nightstand. She turned on a small nightlight that spilled a dim glow into the hallway. Then she checked the hidden camera inside the stuffed bear Michael had given Ella for her birthday. The angle was perfect. She installed another camera at the head of her own bed, just visible enough to convince Marcus all the surveillance was focused on her. The third, most hidden camera, was positioned on the window ledge in Ella's room. 2:47 a.m. The front door let out a quiet click. Paula lay still, eyes closed, her back damp with cold sweat. The camera captured a dark figure slipping inside. He moved silently, wearing a gray hoodie, gloves, and a hat. He passed Paula's room without stopping. He knew she had taken sleeping pills. Everything was going according to his plan. The camera in Ella's room showed him clearly. He walked in and leaned over the bed. "My little angel, did you miss me?" he whispered, his voice soft and poisonous. Ella opened her eyes. She didn't cry or move. Her mother had told her to stay still. "I dreamed about you. Your hair flying in the wind, like a real angel," Marcus murmured, leaning close, inhaling deeply. "If you tell your mom, she'll die. I'll kill her. And then it'll be just you and me, forever." From the living room computer screen, Paula saw everything. She clasped her hand over her mouth, eyes red and trembling, nearly dropping the mouse. A wave of rage and nausea hit her so hard she threw up right there, her mouth bitter and dry. "No. You can't break now," she told herself, struggling to stand. She shakily grabbed a second USB stick. The camera caught Marcus leaning in to kiss Ella's cheek. The girl squeezed her blanket with both hands, eyes shut. "Keep it a secret, my little angel." And then he withdrew, as quietly as poison drifting away. Paula didn't intervene. She knew tonight wasn't the time. She needed him to leave so the full evidence could be preserved. When the door finally clicked shut, the clock read 3:14 a.m. At that moment, Ella broke into sobs. Paula ran into the room and held her daughter tightly. The two of them sat there, wrapped in darkness. "I'm here. Mommy's here," Paula whispered, tears falling into Ella's hair. Ella sobbed, her voice hoarse. "Mommy, I didn't tell, just like he said, but I'm so scared." Paula held her even tighter. "You didn't do anything wrong. You are the bravest girl in the world. I'm so proud of you." She stood, trembling, locked the door, drew the curtains, and checked every lock in the house. She knew the night was over, but the nightmare was far from it. The next morning, Paula stepped out of the bathroom looking pale, with deep circles under her eyes. Michael stopped by again, bringing bread and milk. "Paula? Are you okay?" he asked, worried. She nodded faintly. "No. But I need your help with one more thing. I want to save a copy of the video to your computer. If something happens to me, give it to the police." Michael froze in place. "Paula, what's going on? Who's threatening you?" She spoke only 3 words. "My sister's husband." Michael went still for a moment, then clenched his fists. "I'm here. You're not alone." That afternoon, Paula sat curled up on the sofa, her laptop open. The video from the night before was paused at the moment Marcus whispered into Ella's ear. She had replayed it so many times, the sound was etched into her mind. Every word made her want to scream and destroy everything around her. But more than fury, she felt something deeper: betrayal from someone she once considered family. She opened the search tab and typed with shaking hands, "Marcus Grant, molestation, Chicago, case dismissed." On the second page of results, an old headline appeared. "PE teacher accused of molestation charges dropped after family withdraws complaint." Paula clicked the article. The photo was unmistakable: Marcus, about 10 years younger, standing in front of a high school, smiling with those round eyes that now repulsed her. Defendant Marcus G., 46, was accused by a 14-year-old female student of inappropriate touching during class. However, the case was dismissed after the victim's family withdrew the complaint. The court ruled there was insufficient evidence to prosecute. "Insufficient evidence," Paula muttered. "Not innocent. Just not enough proof." She trembled. She needed confirmation from the only person who might know more about what had happened: her sister, Caroline. She dialed. "Paula, why are you calling me so much?" Caroline's voice was irritated. Paula tried to stay calm. "Do you remember that accusation against Marcus at school, about 10 years ago?" There was a pause on the other end. Then Caroline laughed. "Oh God, what are you even asking? That stupid old thing. It was all made up. Jealousy. Lies. You seriously believe that stuff?" Paula clenched her teeth. "So you've never seen Marcus act strange?" Caroline was clearly annoyed now. "Paula, what the hell are you talking about? Marcus is my husband. The most decent man I've ever known. He's helped you so many times, watched your daughter for you, even changed your locks." Paula's stomach turned. That was exactly the detail that made her want to throw up. "He changed the locks, Caroline," she hissed through her teeth. "Which means he has a spare key. He can come and go from my house whenever he wants." "What?" Caroline shouted. "Are you accusing my husband of something? Have you lost your mind?" Paula exhaled, her voice breaking. "Ella once said, Uncle Marcus says I'm his little girlfriend. Do you think that sounds normal?" There was silence. Paula continued, her voice slow, pained. "I used to think it was just childish talk. I used to laugh it off. And now I realize, that laugh was the most shameful thing I've ever done." Caroline's voice, now small and trembling. Do you have proof?" Paula didn't answer. She just hung up. She didn't want to hear another excuse, another defense for that sick man. Not from anyone, not even from family. That evening, as Ella colored at her desk, Paula came close and asked gently. "Ella, remember when I asked about the things Uncle Marcus says to you?" Ella froze, the crayon suspended in midair. She looked up, her eyes wary, scared. "I don't want you to be mad." "No, sweetheart. No matter what you say, I won't be mad. I need to know, so I can keep you safe. Okay?" Ella was silent for a long time. Then suddenly, as if breaking under pressure, she began to speak. He told me not to tell you. He said, if you found out, you'd hate me. Just like his mommy hated him a long time ago. She left him, because she thought he was different. He said. I'm the only one who understands him. Paula's fists clenched. Her blood ran cold. What else did he say, Ella? He used to touch my hair. Kiss my forehead. And when I asked why, he said it was our secret like two people in love. If I told anyone, he'd be sad, and he'd have to leave forever. Paula couldn't take it anymore. She pulled her daughter into her arms, tears falling silently onto her cheeks. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Later, in the bedroom, Paula examined the little things she'd previously noticed out of place in Ella's room. A doll flipped over. Tiny shoes moved. A hairbrush with a strange scent. She sniffed it. Overwhelming cologne. Not Michael's. It couldn't be mistaken. Paula threw the brush down hard. It shattered. She turned on the camera system and reviewed footage from previous nights. He had been there at least 3 times in the past week. Each time, between 2:45 and 3:15 a.m. Each time, whispering vile things. The stuffed bear camera the one Marcus didn't know about captured it all. He wore gloves. Taped over the main camera's LED with black tape to avoid detection. Sick bastard, Paula muttered, her voice cracking. The phone rang. It was Caroline. Paula hesitated, then picked up. Paula, Caroline's voice trembled. Are you telling the truth? Do you really have video? Yes, Paula answered bluntly. Silence. Send it to me. If it's really him. I need to know. Paula gritted her teeth. Are you ready to face the truth? No turning away, no denying it, no protecting him. Caroline's voice cracked. I'm a mother. I get it now. Paula sent the video. 30 minutes later, Caroline called back. She didn't say a word, only sobbed, uncontrollably. Through tears, Paula whispered. You once asked me if I had proof. This is the answer. Marcus isn't your husband anymore. He's a danger to any child. Caroline's voice was hoarse. I will not forgive him. I won't give him another chance. Paula gripped the phone tightly and whispered. Neither will I. The next morning, Paula sat alone in the kitchen, her eyes bloodshot from sleeplessness. She no longer knew what hunger felt like. A cold cup of coffee sat untouched in front of her. Her thoughts kept looping the same question. When did he start planning this? She opened her laptop and rewatched old footage. She went back 1 month. Then 2. Something strange appeared some nights, the camera LED blinked, but no footage had been recorded. Paula frowned. Why are there blank segments? She checked the device logs. Sure enough, on 3 specific nights the previous month, the main camera signal had been manually shut off. Not a malfunction. Not a glitch. Disabled on purpose. Paula began to breathe faster. She retrieved the backup footage from the teddy bear camera, which recorded independently. She opened one of the videos from those blackout nights. And there he was. Marcus. Wearing a long coat and a hat pulled low, but unmistakable. He went directly to the main camera's indicator light, taped it over. Then he circled the room, checking every corner. He knew the main camera was down. He didn't rush. Every move was calculated, chillingly precise. He sat beside Ella's bed, stroked her hair, and whispered. I'm not touching you. I won't do that, not yet. But you have to understand, what we have is special. Paula gripped the edge of the table, veins bulging in her hand. The camera captured his eyes, clearly obsessed, worshipful, as though he were looking at a holy relic. She couldn't take it anymore. She called Michael. He picked up. Before he could speak, Paula said urgently. Do you have time? I need to see you. Now. 15 minutes later, Michael arrived at her apartment. Paula opened the door without a word. She led him into the kitchen and handed him the USB and her laptop. Michael watched the footage. His face darkened in under 2 minutes. He clenched his jaw, his eyes filled with rage. That sick fuck. Paula nodded, eyes brimming with tears. I trusted him. He used to come here, hug Ella in front of me, smile at me. And now. Michael cut in, voice rough. He's not just sick. He's calculated. Every detail. Every second. Paula suddenly remembered something. She opened a drawer and pulled out an old receipt for the lock replacement 2 months ago. He was the one who suggested changing my locks, Michael. He said the old ones were loose and easy to break into. Michael scanned the receipt, then asked. What company is this? Did you use someone you didn't know? No. He said he knew someone named Ernest. A freelancer. No store, but very skilled. Michael's hands clenched around the paper. He faked the invoice. He changed the locks himself and kept the spare key. Paula collapsed into a chair. I was so stupid. Michael placed a firm hand on her shoulder. You weren't stupid. You were manipulated. This goes way beyond what anyone could imagine. But now you know. And now, it ends. Paula nodded, breathing deep. I'll never let him lay a finger on my daughter again. That afternoon, Caroline came to Paula's apartment. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen. Paula opened the door without a word. The two sisters looked at each other for a long time. Then they embraced, tightly, wordlessly. Caroline choked out. I looked into it. I contacted the girl from back then, the one who accused him. Paula's eyes widened. You found her? Caroline nodded. Her name is Lucy Rivers. She's a preschool teacher now. In Salem. She said, she was only 14 when Marcus touched her during gym class. But her family was afraid of scandal. They dropped the charges. Paula's blood ran cold. And he kept going. No one stopped him. Tears welled in Caroline's eyes. I lived with him. And I didn't see a thing. I failed you. I failed Ella. Paula gripped her sister's hand. None of us wanted this to happen. But now it's clear. I'm going to report him. I don't care what people say. I'll fight for my daughter. Caroline nodded, with conviction. I'll testify. That night, Ella had another nightmare. She shot up from bed screaming. Mommy! Don't let him take me. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Paula held her daughter close, tears soaking Ella's hair. No. It's not your fault. It's never your fault. Ella sobbed. He said if I told, you would die, and he would cut my hair and make a pillow, to keep the smell. Paula felt like her chest had shattered. She whispered. No one will ever hurt us again. No one. Early the next morning, Paula went to the supermarket. When she returned, she found a single red rose lying at her doorstep. No card. No note. She looked around the empty hallway. She trembled. She knew exactly who had left it. Marcus was sending her a message. He knew she suspected. And now, he was playing a psychological game taunting her. Paula picked up the rose and walked inside. Without a word, she entered her bedroom, turned on the computer, and downloaded all the footage from the teddy bear camera. She copied everything onto 3 USB drives. One went to Michael. Another would go to the police. She called her late father's former lawyer Raymond Turner. I have evidence related to child molestation, unlawful entry, and psychological manipulation. Is it enough to press charges? Raymond's voice was firm. Yes. If the video is clear, if the voice is identifiable, and there's testimony from the legal guardian, then yes, we can press charges. Child molestation, unlawful entry, illegal surveillance, and intentional harm to a minor, said Raymond Turner firmly. Paula breathed heavily. I'll submit everything tomorrow. But I need you to promise me one thing. Go ahead, sweetheart. Paula gripped the phone. Make sure he never gets near another child again. Not even once. She sat at her desk, her hands sore from hours of scrubbing through the footage, but she didn't stop. Not to confirm anymore, but to memorize. She needed to remember every detail, every move, every vile word Marcus had spoken, like committing to memory the crimes of a monster who wore the face of family. She wrote in her notebook. 2:47, left hand stroking hair. 2:49, lips touch cheek. 2:51, said, if you tell, I'll kill your mom. A small sound startled her. Footsteps. She ran to Ella's room and flung the door open. Ella was sitting on the floor, a piece of paper in front of her with scribbled drawings. What are you doing? Paula asked, trying to keep her voice calm. Ella turned, her eyes hollow. I'm drawing him. Paula sat down, heart pounding. She looked at the drawing, a tall man in a gray coat, leaning over a brown-haired girl. But what made Paula's breath catch was this: the man's hand was blood red, and beneath them were jagged letters in red marker. He loves me. Don't tell. Paula's voice shook. Ella, why did you draw this? Ella picked up the red marker and added more red around the edges. Because, if I don't draw it, he'll come in my dreams. Paula bit her lip until it bled. She pulled her daughter into her arms, holding her tightly. You don't have to draw anymore. No one can hurt you now. But Ella didn't hug her back. She sat still and whispered. He's still here. In this room. That night, Paula decided to hide some of the footage. She didn't want Ella to ever see it. Still, she installed a new camera hidden in the ceramic star-shaped nightlight that Ella adored. Her phone rang. It was Michael. I've got something new, he said gravely. I found another girl. Marcus used to babysit her while her parents worked nights. She was only 8. Paula held her breath. Where is she now? She's a teenager. Her name is Beth Owens. But when I mentioned Marcus, her face went cold. She didn't say much. Just one sentence: there's a teddy bear I never dared to touch again. Paula shivered. This isn't just about Ella. No, Michael replied. He's a predator. Quiet. Twisted. And smart. Night fell. Paula pretended to sleep. But her laptop remained on. 3 camera screens glowed in the dark. Near 3 a.m. No movement. No sound. Then suddenly, from the camera speaker, a whisper echoed faintly. My little angel, you were such a good girl tonight. Paula bolted upright, eyes wide, heart pounding. She ran to Ella's room. The girl was still asleep. No one was there. Back at the monitor, she rewound the footage. No video. Only sound. Michael, she said over the phone, panicked, someone's playing old audio through the camera. Michael responded instantly. Have you secured the system? Is the password still default? Paula went cold. I've never changed it. Oh God. Turn off the Wi-Fi, Michael ordered. Unplug the router. Change every password. He's not just entering your house, he's controlling it remotely. The next morning, Ella sat on the couch, holding a broken doll, her eyes vacant. Did you break your doll? Paula asked softly. Ella shook her head. No. It fell. When I heard his voice, from inside the teddy bear. Paula's breath stopped. You heard it clearly? Ella nodded. He said, not to forget him. No matter what you say, he's still in my heart. Paula felt her blood boil. She grabbed the bear and ripped it open. Inside was the camera Michael had installed. But then something else. A small black device. A tiny microphone. A transmitter. He's been listening to everything, Paula whispered. She picked up her phone and called Caroline. You need to leave your house immediately. I don't know if you and your kids are safe. Caroline was stunned. What are you saying? You think you would hurt me? Paula shouted. What do you think? He sleeps next to you and eavesdrops on my calls. What are you waiting for? Caroline broke down. I'm calling my lawyer. I haven't shared a bed with him since the video. I'm sorry, for not believing you sooner. That afternoon, Paula went into Ella's room to change the sheets. As she lifted the pillow, she froze. There was a folded piece of paper underneath. She opened it. It was Ella's messy handwriting. If I tell, Mom will hate me. But if I don't tell, Mom will die. I have to choose. Paula collapsed onto the bed, tears pouring down her face. She was losing her daughter not physically, but emotionally. Ella no longer played. No longer laughed. Every drawing was in red. And her eyes no longer belonged to a child. That night, Paula dreamed she stood in a dark hallway. On one side, Ella stood crying. On the other, Marcus stood with his arms out, waiting. Paula tried to run to her daughter but her legs wouldn't move. The floor was covered in bear stuffing, and blood. She screamed. Don't touch her. Marcus turned and smiled. You're too late, Paula. She chose me. She jolted awake, drenched in sweat. Ella was beside her, still asleep but murmuring. Uncle. I've been good, please don't hurt Mommy. Paula couldn't take it anymore. She leapt from bed and rushed into her office. She gathered all the documents, USBs, notes, and video files. Then she texted Raymond Turner. Tomorrow morning, I'll bring everything. Let's begin. Before bed, she held Ella tightly and whispered. It's not your fault. Even if you stayed quiet. Even if you were scared. I've always loved you. Ella's lips moved faintly. So, if I tell you everything, will you still love me? Paula cried. More than ever. She didn't know what her daughter would say tomorrow. Only that after tomorrow, everything would change. Paula woke up at 2:30 a.m. Not because of a sound. Because of instinct, the wild, primal instinct of a mother. She looked beside her. Ella was still sleeping, curled up like a frightened kitten. Her breathing was heavy. Paula slipped out of bed and opened her laptop in the office. She checked the 3 camera angles: teddy bear, nightlight, window. All functioning. She hit record live feed. The clock ticked to 2:45. Wind howled outside through the window cracks. Then click. The unmistakable sound of a key turning in a lock. Paula tensed. Her hand gripped her phone. The emergency number was ready. But she didn't call. Not yet. She needed his face. She needed everything recorded. 2:47. On the screen, Marcus appeared. No hat. No coat. He walked into Ella's room like it was his own. One hand gloved, the other holding a small object. Paula squinted. It was a scent inhaler. The kind scent fetishists used. My little angel, are you ready? He whispered. Ella stirred slightly. You said you'd come back, you never lie to me. He sat beside her, stroking her hair. Paula gripped her hand so tightly it bled. She couldn't scream. She couldn't storm in. She needed this footage. He leaned in close and inhaled deeply. Do you remember what I told you? If you tell, your mom will die. I'll have to do it. And then, you'll be mine. Forever. Tears welled in Ella's eyes. Don't hurt mommy. I'm good. He kissed her neck gently. I know you're good. But don't let her ruin what we have. You promise not to tell, right? Ella nodded weakly. Paula couldn't hold it in. She clamped her hand over her mouth and vomited on the floor. But she kept the camera rolling. Then he pulled a tiny ring from his pocket. A cheap toy ring, pink plastic, with a heart in the center. This is our engagement ring. You and me. Forever. Don't let anyone come between us. Uncle Marcus, Ella whispered, voice barely a breath, I'm scared. He pressed his hand gently over her lips. Shoo. I'll always protect you. Paula jumped up, tears blurring her vision. Her hands no longer trembled. She flung the bedroom door open. He's here. Michael, stationed downstairs as they had planned, charged up immediately. Together, they ran toward Ella's room. Marcus startled. He jumped to his feet and rushed to the window, but Paula had locked the safety latch the day before. Michael grabbed him and slammed him to the ground. Paula rushed in and held Ella, who was sobbing uncontrollably. You sick bastard. Michael roared. You're an animal. Marcus struggled beneath him, laughing maniacally. You don't understand, this is love, love I never got to have. Paula stormed over and slapped him across the face. Don't you dare use the word love with my daughter. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Caroline, listening through the phone from her home, collapsed when she heard. Her son was sleeping, while she screamed like a woman losing her mind. Marcus was handcuffed and dragged out of the house under the flashing lights of police cruisers. At the station, Michael submitted all the USB drives containing the footage. Paula gave a full statement detailing how she had collected the evidence. Forensics confirmed that the microphone inside the teddy bear was a shortwave transmitter typically used in professional surveillance operations. Detective Sullivan looked at Paula, his eyes cold. You want to press charges on all counts? Paula didn't blink. Every single one. Not a single charge left out. Ella was taken in for psychological evaluation. She remained silent through most of the session, only whispering when the doctor asked. What scares you the most? Ella nodded. I'm scared, of the smell of cologne. And the laughing, at 3 a.m. That evening, Paula sat outside her daughter's room. She didn't sleep. She didn't cry. She just stared at the strip of light beneath the door where her daughter was finally sleeping peacefully after many horrifying nights. She looked down at her hand. The crescent marks from her fingernails were bleeding. But she didn't feel pain. Every ounce of pain had been drained from her since tonight. Michael came over and placed a hot cup of tea beside her. You won, he said. Paula shook her head, her voice hollow. Not yet. Not until he's behind bars. Not until she laughs again. Not until I can sleep. Michael squeezed her hand. But you survived. You didn't break. A week later, police reported that Marcus's personal computer contained more than 120 hidden recordings of children. Some were of Ella taken while she slept. The rest were of other children. Some were grown now. Others were still too young to even understand. The media exploded. Chicago's TV stations called him a predator in plain sight. Caroline appeared in a closed interview, face concealed, and only said one sentence. I slept beside a monster. And I'll never forgive myself for that. But Paula at the end of part 1 sat alone. All the doors locked. She held the pink plastic ring Marcus had given Ella. She hadn't thrown it away. She kept it as living evidence. She turned on the light, opened her laptop, and rewatched the final video, the one where her daughter lay curled up, being threatened in whispers. And when she saw Ella's terrified face, her eyes wide and unblinking, she whispered, "You'll never hear that laugh again. I swear." Then she slumped to the floor, back against the wall, eyes vacant, arms wrapped around her head like someone who had just escaped hell yet didn't know where to begin. The next morning, the first light of dawn filtered through the curtains and touched Paula's exhausted face. She had sat by Ella's side all night without closing her eyes. But for the first time in months, Ella didn't have a nightmare. Paula looked at the clock. 7:10 a.m. She left the room and entered the kitchen, opened her laptop. She had made 3 backups of the footage, on an external hard drive, a USB, and a password-encrypted Google Drive. She picked up her phone and called attorney Raymond Turner. "Hello, Mr. Raymond. This is Paula Jensen. I'll be at your office by 9 a.m. with all the evidence." Raymond's voice was calm. "All right, bring everything. And remember, from this point forward, every word you say and every move you make must be precise. This is an extremely sensitive case." Paula replied firmly. "Yes. I'm ready." Caroline arrived early, her eyes sunken from sleepless nights. Paula opened the door and stared at her sister for a long moment before speaking. "Are you sure?" Caroline nodded. "I'll sign everything. There's nothing left to deny. He's no longer human." Paula gave a slight nod and retrieved a file folder from the drawer, labeled Marcus Grant, Full Evidence. Caroline saw the stack of documents, printed images from the cameras, audio transcripts, and Paula's surveillance logs. Her face went pale. "My God, you've been preparing this for months." Paula met her gaze. "I lived in fear every single night. I couldn't wait for the police to act. I'm a mother. I had no other choice." 9 a.m. Raymond Turner's office, located in an old building on Main Street. He greeted the sisters with a firm handshake. "Please, sit. Paula. Caroline." He turned on his computer and inserted the USB drive. When the video came up, Marcus whispering into Ella's ear, Raymond's expression darkened. "Do you know, this is one of the most revolting videos I've ever seen." Paula nodded, her voice shaking but resolute. "I don't want anyone else to ever have to see it. But I also won't let him walk free." Raymond began reviewing the file. "We've got a solid case: unlawful entry, psychological manipulation of a minor, death threats, possession and production of illicit material, and if the other clips are confirmed, we may add sexual abuse charges." Caroline took a long breath. "How many years could he get?" Raymond raised an eyebrow. "If no one steps in to protect him and every charge sticks, over 20 years. Paula looked him in the eye. "I don't want mercy. I want justice." Raymond nodded. "Then from here on, let the law do its part. But there's one more thing: you need to file a formal complaint." 10:30 a.m. NYPD, 17th Precinct. Paula held the complaint form in her hand. It listed 6 specific criminal charges. Caroline signed as a witness. Michael, acting as the technical support who helped install the surveillance, submitted a detailed statement. Lieutenant Anderson, the officer on duty, skimmed the report and looked up, serious. "Are you sure you want to press charges against a man who's already been acquitted once?" Paula gripped the edge of the desk. "That's exactly why I won't let him escape this time." Anderson glanced at the footage, winced, and turned to his colleague. "Call Special Investigations. We need a warrant today." That afternoon, Ella was taken to the Child Psychology Center at the Chicago Children's Institute. A woman named Dr. Teresa, around 40, came out to greet them. "You're Ella, right?" she asked gently. Ella clutched her mother's hand until her knuckles turned white. Paula knelt beside her. You don't have to talk unless you want to. You can just draw. That's enough. Ella gave a small nod and followed the doctor inside. Paula waited outside, her hands interlocked tightly. 45 minutes later, Dr. Teresa returned. She's not permanently traumatized, but she is showing signs of anxiety disorder and deep internalized guilt. Internalized guilt? Paula asked, alarmed. It's when a child believes they caused everything bad, even though they're the victim. It's common in children who've been manipulated over time. Paula stood speechless, her eyes glassy. She once asked me, if I tell you everything, will you still love me? Dr. Teresa gently took her hand. Then the best thing you can do now, is love her twice as much. Even for the parts of her that think she doesn't deserve it. 5 p.m. Caroline's phone buzzed. A text from a friend who worked at a major Chicago newspaper. Have you seen? Marcus Grant's been arrested. 5 charges. The media's going wild. Caroline read it aloud. Paula was silent for a moment, then burst into sobs. Michael stood beside her and placed a hand on her shoulder. He's in jail now. But she still doesn't sleep well, Paula whispered. I still can't breathe easy. Night fell. Ella lay in bed, hugging a new doll Dr. Teresa had given her. For the first time in weeks, she whispered. Mommy? Paula stepped in and sat beside her. What is it, sweetheart? Can I turn off the nightlight? I'm not that scared tonight. Paula's voice cracked. Of course. You're so brave. 10 p.m. Paula returned to her office. Her laptop displayed a new email. Prosecutor's office, case against Marcus Grant confirmed. Held without bail. Trial date, to be announced. She sat upright and typed a reply. I will attend every hearing. And I will bring everything he left in my daughter's mind. Final scene of this chapter. Paula stands in front of Ella's door, hand on the knob, eyes gently closed. Inside, there's only the sound of steady breathing. No laughter. No whispers. Just peace. 2 months after Marcus's arrest, life for Paula and Ella is gradually stabilizing. But the wounds remain unhealed. Every morning, when Paula takes her daughter to school, she still scans their surroundings carefully. Even knowing he has no more chances, she can't yet take off the armor she's worn for months. Bye, Mommy. Ella turned around and waved lightly from the school gate. Paula smiled, though her eyes were still heavy with worry. I'll pick you up on time, okay? Yes. Ella replied, then turned and walked off. A teacher approached gently. She's drawing really well. Yesterday she drew a sunrise with flowers and swallows. That's real progress. Paula nearly broke down in tears. Sunrise. Swallows. The very things Ella used to be too afraid to even imagine, now she was drawing them. That evening, Paula met with Dr. Teresa for their regular therapy session. How do you think Ella's doing? Paula asked. She's recovering slowly, but steadily, Teresa replied. Her recent drawings are brighter. More colors. Most notably, no more red as a background. Paula smiled faintly. That detail was something only a mother and a therapist would fully understand. And her guilt? Paula asked. Teresa nodded. It's still there. But it's lighter. Last time, when I asked her, who do you think was wrong in what happened, she said, he was wrong. I wasn't. But I still wish I had spoken up sooner. Tears streamed down Paula's cheeks. Dr. Teresa handed her a tissue. What matters most is that she's starting to unlearn the self-hate, Teresa said softly. Paula wiped her eyes and whispered. Thank you, doctor. A week later, the court announced the official trial date, the People vs. Marcus Grant would begin at the Chicago Criminal Court on June 16. Raymond called immediately. "Paula, you'll need to testify as both plaintiff and primary witness. Are you ready?" She gripped the phone tightly. "I've never been more ready." Trial day. The weather in Chicago was stifling. Reporters surrounded the courthouse gates. Caroline walked beside Paula with her son in her arms, head bowed. Michael showed up, placing a firm hand on Paula's shoulder. "Let's go. We're fighting to the end." Inside the courtroom, Marcus was escorted in. Same pale face, but the manic smile was gone. He sat between two officers, avoiding Paula's gaze. The defense attorney began. "My client suffers from long-standing psychiatric disorders originating in adolescence. His actions stem from personality disorder, not intent." Paula stood up. "I'm sorry, but I can't sit here and listen to you call his crimes a disorder. He wasn't out of control, he was deliberate. Meticulous." The judge nodded and permitted her to speak. Paula stepped up to the witness stand. "My name is Paula Jensen. I am the mother of the victim, Ella Jensen. I installed 3 cameras, one of which was hidden. I recorded the defendant entering my home, whispering threats, and tormenting my daughter with his depravity." She took a breath, then continued. "He was acquitted once. But not this time. No one deserves another chance when they steal a child's innocence." The courtroom fell silent. Raymond stood and added. "We submit 6 videos, 3 audio recordings, 1 surveillance device found in a child's toy. Expert analysis has confirmed the voice in all media belongs to the defendant." The judge nodded and took notes. Paula returned to her seat. Caroline squeezed her sister's hand. "You did so well." The hearing lasted 3 hours. Just before it concluded, Marcus finally spoke. He stood, voice raspy. I don't know why I am this way. But I didn't hurt anyone. I just loved." Paula stood again. "Love? You call kissing a sleeping child love? You call threatening to kill her mother love?" Marcus fell silent. The judge issued an interim ruling. The defendant, Marcus Grant, shall remain in custody without bail. Charges include unlawful entry, manipulation of a minor, threats of bodily harm, and possession and distribution of illicit content. Final sentencing will take place in 3 weeks. As they exited the courtroom, reporters surrounded Paula. "Do you have a message for other parents?" one asked. Paula looked straight into the camera. "Don't think the worst can't happen in your own home. Monsters don't always knock with snarling faces. Sometimes, they smile, and call you their sister." That evening, Paula and Ella walked through the park. Ella ran ahead, chasing a small ball. "Mommy, watch me jump." Paula laughed, clapping her hands. "Beautiful. Just like my little angel." Ella giggled, truly and freely for the first time. "Mom. I'm not an angel. I'm a superhero." Paula sat on the grass, arms open. "Yes. And you're my superhero." Ella tilted her head. "Mommy, if he disappears tomorrow, can I stop thinking about him?" Paula pulled her daughter into her chest, whispering. "You don't ever have to think about him again. I'm here. I'll be the only one who whispers in your ear every night, before you sleep." 3 weeks later. Final sentencing. The judge read aloud. Marcus Grant is sentenced to 26 years in prison. No parole. Lifetime ban from all contact with minors. The court finds him intentional, repetitive, and historically predatory. Caroline broke down in tears. Michael gripped Paula's hand. Paula didn't cry. She simply closed her eyes. Inside her, all went still. No more 3 a.m. laughter. No more eyes lurking in the shadows. That night, Paula read Ella a bedtime story. And the princess saved herself. Because she didn't wait for anyone else. Ella whispered. Like mommy? Paula smiled. No. Like you. The last line echoed in Paula's mind as she turned off the light. Not all monsters wear horns. Some have the most familiar faces. And that's exactly why, we have to be strong enough to protect what we love. Not all danger comes from strangers. Sometimes, the monster wears the face you've trusted most. Paula's story reminds us that vigilance, motherly instinct, and courage should never be underestimated. Protecting our children isn't just about shielding them but also about trusting our gut, facing the truth, and fighting with everything we have for justice. Above all, the right kind of love can heal even the deepest wounds even when darkness once swallowed everything.
If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.